Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. This is a What Do I Know special. I wanted to highlight an event which took place in Hanforth this week, which involved yours truly, and was most unsavoury, but I felt compelled to tell the world exactly what happened. So what happened? When? Where? Well, it happened on Tuesday morning this week, and happened inside one of the churches here in Hanforth, where we were gathering to attend the funeral of a pastoral councillor who, like ourselves, was a ratepayer, member of the Hanforth Ratepayers Association Independent Party. The funeral had been extensively organised, and basically there was one list of those who were invited, we knew who were coming, and one of those we simply didn't want to attend. Now, when I say we, it was on behalf of the family, not Hanforth Ratepayers Association Independent Party, but we, given that this was one of our past councillors who was a ratepayer, we decided to help the family and be there and assist them. A little bit of background: on 4th of November, the morning of the 4th of November at 9:47, an email was sent by Hanforth Ratepayers Association Independent Party. Yes, that went from my email address, but it was not on my behalf, it was on behalf of the party. That email stated, it was sent to the clerk of the Clown Council, that no employee, no member of the council, neither the ward councillors, and no friend or associate of anybody or any of those, I should say, any of those groups can attend, and that was the wish of the family of the deceased. Pleased to say that at 14:42 on the 4th of November, Ashley responded and confirmed that this email had been sent around and our wish had been noted, and we hoped from that adhere to. Now, all the organisation complete, we get to the day of the funeral, which was this past Tuesday, on this day. Now, so that everybody knows how the setup was, the arrangements were, we had a situation where we had 3 of us outside the church, and there was 3 more inside the door, and 2 members from the firm of undertakers during the funeral. So that you know, yes, yours truly was one of the 3 outside. I mean, so basically we were 6 deep, 3 out, 3 in, and 2 more. We had sincerely hoped that the message vis-a-vis non-attendance had got through. Well, as it would prove that morning, we were wrong. As we stood outside the church, we did see Peter Moore drive by in his 4x4, very disrespectfully revving the engine. I don't expect anything less, really, particularly the way he's behaved towards a lot of people, certainly people associated with us. As we stood there, the time was 10:53 that morning. 7 minutes to go. We'd just seen Peter Moore and he'd gone off, so we knew he wasn't coming. Shortly after that, as I say, at 10:53, his wife drove up in her car, turned into the church, and the look on her face was one of complete arrogance, complete disdain. It was one of, and I will say this, the arrogance was, I'm here and you're going to give way to me. Like hell, that's not happening. So we assembled the crew, 3 of us outside, the 3 inside stand behind the 3 on the outside, and we got 2 members of the funeral directors out, because at this time, as she's driving around the back of the church, we get the heads up the hearse is on the way. So the timing couldn't be even more imperfect if you planned it. It's just wasn't. As Sue Moore came around the corner, we'd seen that she wasn't alone in the car, because Roger Small was in the car with his wife. Now, I'm not having a go at his wife, and I'm going to go on record saying that I actually feel sorry for him to be caught in this. We told them they were not welcome. I simply came, and the message was, because I was, what the better word, I was always in charge. I was more responsible. I was a senior there, I guess you could say. I very calmly, very politely, and professionally said, "You are not welcome at this funeral. You are not invited. Will you please kindly leave? I'm not attending." Well, when I said that, Seymour started at me, screaming and yelling as long as she can do, and told me to shut up. Well, I'm not going to shut up. I'm doing my job. I'm doing what I've been asked to do. She then very maturely, and I mean very maturely, and in a tone that I expect in a nursery schoolyard, yeah, that's how low and how immature and juvenile we're talking, said, "Hey, you got an email from the deceased family saying that we are formally invited." Well, there was only one word that came into my mind then, but I didn't say it because, of course, it was like on holy ground, standing in churchyard. But that word was bullshit. How did I know she was lying? Her lips were moving. That was the giveaway. I mean, if she'd picked her nose and scratched her head, then she might have told the truth. The thing is, her lips were moving. The thing is, Roger Small then joined in, and he claimed that he got an email inviting him. At this time, as this is now going on, we've got the hearse that's backed in, the back door's open. We've now got a problem. This service is starting late because of these two clowns. And when I tried again to say, "Look, you're not invited," and I pointed out there were two lists, a list of invitees and a list of those who are not invited, and that both Sue Moore and Roger Small on the list of those not invited, I got screamed and yelled at again by Sue Moore, and she branded me a hooligan. Now, I might be a lot of things, but I can tell you I'm not a hooligan, as I can certainly say hundreds of thousands of people, quite a few people, I say, yeah, hundreds of thousands will testify. There's lots of things I am or I might be, but hooligan ain't one of them. I wasn't very happy about that, but I cut myself off, and then I said to my colleague standing next to me, I'm going to check the family of the deceased, but this time they're around and I need this out of the way. So I wandered around. And as I'm wandering around, the representatives of the undertakers and another one of my colleagues said, "Look, if you've got an email, you must produce it. You've got to show us this email, and we have to be able to read it." So that was a fair enough thing to say and request. So I walked around and I spoke to one of the members of the family of the deceased, when I was told quite clearly that no such email had been sent. So I said, in other words, the only email about attendance to the funeral, the one the party did, and the receipt, and the responding one from the client saying, "Yeah, acknowledge your wishes, no problem." Yes. Yes was the response. Okay. So I said, "Hang fire, I'll clear this," and I walked back round, and I took my place again in the front three, the middle row of the front three. The undertakers, again, the undertaker representatives asked again Roger Small and Sue Moore to produce copies of the email. Well, from my vantage point, I saw Roger Small reaching in his pocket, and I could see part of the phone. Now, I looked at it and I thought, looking at the size of the phone, it does look like it's a phone you can get emails on. And Sue Moore even had hers out and around, and it was a big thing. Could have been Apple, Samsung, I don't know. Either way, they both claimed they couldn't get emails on the phone, but I knew for a fact from experience of Sue Moore that was a lie. Another lie. I'm thinking this is just not good enough. At this time, my colleague to my left, he said to me, "Was there an email?" And I turned and looked at him, and I said, "Is today Wednesday?" And he went, "No, it's Tuesday." And I said, "Exactly, there is no email. It's a lie." And he looked at me with absolute horror. And I then looked at the two undertakers and I said, "They're not going to be able to produce an email because there isn't one." Well, obviously, as you can bet, this didn't go down very well. And Roger Small tried to speak to us. Sue Moore had her eyes locked on me, and I can tell you what, I could tell she was burning up with our wider eyes when I thought, "Yep, you've got to go again. I've been calm, cool, collected, polite to you, and you're going to be vitriolic and abusive to me. One thing I will say is, and I'm going to pose a question for you. They did identify themselves as councillors as they introduced themselves as Councillor Moore and Councillor Smith. Councillor Moore even said she was the, bear in mind, chairman of Hanford Town Council, not using the PC title that Brian, myself, Jean and Barry put in as the chair. Came out to got chairman. Why? I don't know. It sounds as stupid as it does. It's a fact. It is stupid. Roger Small then turned to face myself. My colleague was on my right hand side, and my colleague here said to Roger Small, "You did this at Barry Burkle's funeral." Roger Small retaliated, "No, I didn't. The two of us here and one behind them." "Oh yes, you did." That shot him up. And then he tried to attest how disappointed he was. Well, I'll say this, Roger. We weren't disappointed with you or Sue Moore. We were disgusted. I will tell you for why. And I want everybody to know for why, so you can see what you and Sue Moore tried to do. You came to that funeral knowing that you were not invited. You were prepared to lie, and you did lie about the existence of an email inviting you, which we now know and can prove never has been a thing. And you were prepared to try to bully your way into a private funeral. That's despicable. That's not disappointing. That's disgusting. If what we were doing was standing up for our friend, our colleague, and his family, because you didn't work with him, you constantly worked against him, as I know Sue did, even though at the time he was a councillor, she wasn't. I'll also say as well, to come and do what you did is not just lacking in respect, it's totally disrespectful, and it's the lowest of the low. On top of that, and I'm going to point this out, when they introduced themselves to the representatives from the Takers Forum as councillors, they never showed any differentiation to say, look, we are councillors, but we're not here in our capacity. I'll leave that as another one for you to ponder about, ask yourself about, because there's something there, but I'm not going to give the game away. Let's see if you can work it out. So that's what happened. The good news was, they left and they went away. And they were not at the interment, and they were not at the wake, as was requested in the email. But I still have to ask this question, as many others are still asking, is why on earth did they have to behave like they did? Why were they so disrespectful? You get an email that's sent to your clerk saying you can't attend the funeral, and as in the service, you can't attend the wake, as the interment, and you can't attend the wake. And yet, we get two that turn up. We get two who think they're above and beyond. That their own pig-headedness, their own arrogance, their own importance comes before that. With the family, and the friends, and the colleagues. I want to finish by saying I want to thank all those who worked with me, but I felt compelled and saw it as a necessity to let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, so that people know exactly what we had to contend with last Tuesday morning. Thanks. Stay tuned.